Ladies and gentlemen, this Minnesota Wild team that was left for dead in the month of October, this is a three-line outfit. This is a team that is trying to show the league they've got the new McDavid and Draisaitl. And wait till you hear how hot McDavid and Draisaitl were coming into this game, and the defense did the job. A 5-2 win, another impressive win for the Wild at home, no less. When was the last time the Wild had a solid record at home? Well, it's this year. We'll talk about just another set of unbelievable performances in this game. The Wild win 5-2. Dogs and cats living together, and the wagon rolls on. Let's postcast.
You are Locked On Wild Postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Minnesota Wild with a 5-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers tonight, and tonight's postcast is brought to you by a 2-goal performance from Matt Boldy. It's brought to you by another Vladimir Tarasenko goal. It's brought to you by a fantastic performance from Filip Gustavsson, and I could go on and on. How about Nico Sturm with an empty netter at the end to seal it? But folks, listen to this. Listen to this. The meteor that was the Edmonton Oilers before this game, in the 6 games leading up to this, and the 8 games leading up to this matchup against the Minnesota Wild. Connor McDavid had 10 goals and 22 points in the last 8 games. Leon Draisaitl had 2 goals and 17 points in the last 8 games coming into this one. And the dynamic duo of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl walked out of Grand Casino Arena with a single goal to their name, a single goal to their ledger. And if not for a Mason Marchment goal to tie the score at 2-2 in the first period, and if not for some unbelievable saves by Calvin Pickard, this is a laugher. This game is a laugher. Credit to the Oilers for responding as good teams do, but more credit to the Minnesota Wild as Ryan Hartman scored to break the tie in the first period, and the Wilds did what they needed to do defensively and absolutely put them in the clamps. They put them in the spin cycle, and the Wild pick up their 7th win of the season. I have so many thoughts for this game, but I want to just start by talking about how good it is to have home ice advantage back. 13-3-4 at Grand Casino Arena this year. It's to the point that we, those that cover the team and those that follow the team, we were like, maybe we should just play all of our games on the road. But now, Grand Casino Arena, a fortress, and the Minnesota Wild defend home ice quite regularly. Let's dive into the numbers here quickly, and I see that Denny's in the chat. I want to get his thoughts on the win here, but just look at the numbers up and down the board for the Minnesota Wild. They had, until that last flurry, a sizable advantage as far as the shots on goal department is concerned. Both teams took advantage on the power play. Minnesota Wild with a great advantage, couple face-offs, but they held their own in the face-off circle, led by Danila Yurov, who won 10 out of 16 draws again. 10 out of 16 draws for Danila Yurov. We got to talk more about that combination, because some absolute mastery by the Trenin, Tarasenko, Yurov combination. Vladimir Tarasenko with a 2-point night tonight. He has been absolutely scorching lately. Nico Sturm with the empty netter goal. Ryan Hartman with another goal. Matt Boldy with 2. Just production up and down the lineup, something that we had been begging for from this Minnesota Wild team. But the thing that stands out the most, I think, is the 20 blocks. 20 blocked shots going up against a team with some shooters that absolutely let it fly. And the Wild were willing to lay their bodies on the line and come away with the wins. Let's talk about this Yurov, Trenyan, Tarasenko combination, because I think that line combination has unlocked the whole thing. You want to have two combinations that can. You want to have two line combinations that can push, two line combinations that can give you goals. The Wilds have Kirill Kaprizov as a full-fledged. We know Kirill is a line driver. Matt Boldy has turned into a line driver. The Wild had them together to start, and now they are able to put them both on separate lines, and they both are doing just fine. And now you've got Trenyan, Tarasenko, and Yurov, and that line combination is hotter than both of them. We haven't seen depth scoring like this for this Minnesota Wild team since 2021, 2022. Haven't seen it since. But having three lines and no love lost to the fourth line. The fourth line is playing great as well. And the fourth line now has, I think, kind of settled to the point that you're going to get some real good things out of that line combination that can just give you exactly what you need when they're out on the ice as a spell for the other three. Deeper dive into the numbers. The Minnesota Wild generated tonight a 4.17 expected goals offensively. So they torched the Edmonton defense. 4.17 expected goals tonight. They had 45 unblocked shot attempts, 26 low, 14 medium, and 5 high danger. Good balance, good attack for the Wild offensively here tonight. Defensively, the Oilers generated 3.65. With as good as McDavid and Draisaitl have been playing, you'd expect that the push offensively was going to be fierce. And it was. But, again, Jonas Brodin activated off of IR. Welcome back. Your first assignment back off of injured reserve is to go lock down Connor McDavid. And for McDavid, him and Draisaitl combined for the 11 shots on goal, but both in minus territory. And look, you expect, especially considering what happened the last time these two teams matched up, where McDavid was held without a shot on goal. His play has been off the charts since. And Brodin just wears that like a badge of honor. I get to go toe-to-toe with the best on the planet. And he does it. He does it consistently every time they play. Consistently. Filip Gustavsson was brilliant tonight. He had some high leverage saves, some highway robbery saves that he put on display against the Oilers. Oilers had 43 unblocked shot attempts tonight. The Wild had 20 blocks as a team, which was awesome. 4 high danger attempts for the Oilers. And the one high danger goal that they got was just a trickle in rebound out in front. Is what it is. This team is rolling right now. This team is absolutely pretty much up and down the lineup. They're getting massive contributions from every player that is playing. And let's give John Hines a big tip of the cap as well. He is pushing the right buttons. He's pushing the right buttons. I loved the fact that after the Oilers kind of made their push in the first period, that he was not afraid to blend it up. He blended up the lines for a little bit just to kind of neutralize that push and went back to the combinations. And I mean, we are witnessing. I would be very interested, and this might be something I have to look into for an episode sometime this week. You've got the 3 best teams in the NHL, all in the same division. How many times does that happen? The Minnesota Wild at 49 points would be leading sizably every single other division other than the Central at this point. Handily. They'd be leading the Pacific by 7 points. They'd be leading the Metropolitan by 2 points over Carolina. They'd be leading Detroit by 6. Every other division other than the Central. Boy, do we have a doozy for tomorrow's game against the Colorado Avalanche. That is going to be appointment television tomorrow afternoon. A chance to draw yourself even a little closer. The Wild 6 points back. Colorado has 2 games in hand. Chance to pull even closer. What a fun matchup that is going to be for tomorrow. I thought everybody that came back into the lineup looked great. I mean, Matt Zuccarello, you could see his impact. The connection that him and Kaprizov has is second to none. Couple of assists for Zuccarello. Marcus Johansson, very noticeable. He nearly scored. He had an assist. I mean, the depth that this lineup has, I still do get the sense that the Wild are going to make some sort of a trade before the deadline, but when this team is playing like this, if Bill Guerin elects not to, you really can't fault him. I mean, one of the other things that I keep going back to was that Danila Yurov was the leading faceoff getter for the Wild in a game against Connor McDavid, a game against Leon Draisaitl. I know Draisaitl doesn't play a ton of center, but they've got solid centers up and down the lineup, and Yurov 62.5% in the dot. He had more faceoffs than Eriksson Ek. He had more faceoffs than Hartman. Let's talk about Ryan Hartman for a second, getting elevated. I love that decision. And here's why. Because you have the chemistry that Tarasenko, Trenyan, and Yurov are showing right now. Let's let that continue to marinate. Let's let that continue to percolate as a line combination. You know what you're going to get from Kaprizov and Zuccarello. You go back to Boldy, Eriksson Ek, and Johansson. They don't miss a beat. So you give Hartman an opportunity to, just a nice little throwback option for that top line. And Hartman scored. He responded. Hartman scored another goal tonight. Matt Boldy, 2 goals. The Minnesota Wild have 2 players now on pace for 50-goal seasons. And guess who? That would be the first time that a team has had 2 50-goal scorers on the same team since who? I'll give you a hint. We just beat them. Yeah, the last time a team had two 50-goal scorers on the same roster, it was the Edmonton Oilers with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And I mean, just every bit up and down the lineup. 2 more goals for Boldy. He's got 22. Ryan Hartman's up to 8. Tarasenko up to 7. Yakov Trenyan with 7 hits tonight. He had an assist. Vladimir Tarasenko, a multi-point night. He also had 3 hits. Everybody up and down the lineup. And then you got Marcus Foligno, who's now playing a 4th-line role for this team. Absolutely. Like, this is the roster. This is the team. And I've seen it a few times in the comments here, and I agree. It just has a different feel to it. Like that 2021-2022 team, they outscored a lot of their problems, is about the kindest way that I can put that. They didn't have a great penalty kill. The goaltending was up and down. That 2021-2022 team outscored their problems. This team, one of the best D-cores in the league, one of the best goalie tandems in the league, 2 of the premier offensive players in the league. This, and after what happened in October, it's been a complete 180. Since November 1st, the Minnesota Wild are 18-3-2. They are plus 34 in the goals department. Plus 34 in the goals department. They have 6 shutouts in that span. Power play is back up to 20%. Their penalty kill is just below 90 in that span, 87.9. All the numbers. Every one of the numbers. For a quarter of the season, you've been one of the 3 best teams in the NHL. So just a comprehensive, solid win up and down the lineup against the Oilers today. Really, honestly, truly, just so much good hockey play from this team over the last month plus. Just awesome. Let's do this. Going to take a quick break. We'll get to your comments on the game, what we're feeling heading into tomorrow's game against Colorado. We will have a pregame for you tomorrow and a postgame. We'll do both. We can do both. But again, Minnesota Wild 5-2, the 4th straight game that the Wild have scored 5+ goals. Something that used to be a rarity now is a common occurrence. Absolute wagon. Wagons west for the Minnesota Wild. More of our postcast is on the way right after this here on Locked On Wild. Today's postcast is brought to you by Game Time. Folks, the World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part, and that's why Game Time is so clutch. Finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. And with many venues that will be part of the World Cup, Game Time's Seat View feature is vital. Gives you an opportunity to see exactly what your sightlines will be everywhere in the arena. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Game Time. Tonight's postcast is also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast, and one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. And that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the games start to shift. When a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with my favorite option in the NHL, the anytime goal scorer. And these days, the Minnesota Wild have plenty that can score at any time. Coming into tomorrow's game against the Colorado Avalanche, let's go right back to the well. Let's go Matt Boldy, anytime goal scorer. That is my lock for tomorrow's game against the Avs. If you elect to go with Matt Boldy or Matt Goldie, as we frequently call him, you're probably going to have a really good day. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Minnesota Wilds come away with a 5-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers. And I want to start right here. Denny with an absolute A+ right off the top. John Hines pressing all the right buttons right now. And, you know, I'm going to piggyback this into another comment that Ron made earlier. The fourth line was legitimate NHL players for the first time in a while. And I think that can't be overstated. I mean, according to the Daily Faceoff, the combinations today, Kaprizov, Hartman, Zucchi, Johansson, Ek, and Boldy, Trenyan, Urov, Tarasenko, and then your fourth line was Foligno, Sturm, and Vinny Hinostroza. That's as good of a fourth line as the Wild have had for years. Is that crazy to say? Years? I think so. It's just there is such a and full credit to Nicholas Aube-Kubel, full credit to Tyler Pitlick. Those guys had solid days. But there's just something to be said about having full-fledged NHL players up and down the lineup. And it's just like it just showed. It just showed. And of the three lines, Trenyan, Urov, and Tarasenko is probably the hottest of the three. And with a lineup that includes Kirill, Kaprizov, and Matt Boldy on separate lines, good luck. Good luck going toe-to-toe against that. That's a nightmare for opposing defenses. Seventh straight win, as Amanda notes, seventh straight win for the Wild, 13 straight points at home, 11-0-2 in that span. They have turned home ice advantage into an actual advantage after the last couple of seasons. It was not fun to play at formerly the X. Last year, the Minnesota Wild were 22-17-2 at home, so 22-19 at home. 2 years ago, 23-24, the Wild were 20-15-6 at home. 20-21. You got to go back all the way to the 22-23 season, in which the Wild were 25-12-4 at home. 3 years since the Wild have had a bona fide home ice advantage. And I think that has to do with the play style. And I think that has to do with the fact that the Wild have been able to push. They've been able to push. They've been able to get out to those early leads, get the crowd into it. And the Quinn Hughes move was the icing on the cake. You've given the fans the most hope that they've had in a season since 2021, 2022, but honestly, probably since 2016, 2017. That's probably the last time that a season had been this hyped up. And Dylan's right on. They were doing most of this with a ton of guys on injured reserve or on the bench. Does Team Sweden take Gus and Jesper to the Olympics as their tandem? I think so. You've got two of the hottest goalies in the league. Now, I think the Minnesota Wild can maybe softly suggest, hey, might want to get some rest in. At the end of the day, it's the player's choice. But it's hard to argue against playing for your country, especially in an Olympic year. So I would imagine that those two will definitely be in the conversation, if not the tandem. And that's something that we should be. I know there are big injury concerns, big injury worries, but the fact that the Wild have two starting caliber goalies for the Olympics. They've got like 8 other players that are Olympic caliber. Pretty nice. Good comment from Bob here as well. The key today is everybody played responsibly for their back checks. So nice to see our D have that first and out opportunity instead of the stretch passes to eternity. And I think some of that stems from the addition. You know, you add a guy in like Quinn Hughes who can be the one to make those types of plays. So then the other guys don't have to. And I think responsibility is a big key piece to it too, is just, hey, let's not go crazy. You know, we don't have to try to make these just insane plays. Everybody just do your job, play your role, and the beat just continues. I'll talk about this one too. We did kind of briefly touch on this in the episode, but or earlier in the postcast, I should say. The decision to move Hartman up to the 1C is essentially solely because of the chemistry for the other two units. And I'm perfectly fine with it. And obviously Hartman responded today with a nice little tap-in goal right out in front of Pickard. I'm perfectly fine with it. At this point, for Hines, you roll with these combinations until things start to kind of slow down. You keep going with what you got, because you've got, from a scoring standpoint, you've got the three lines that are capable of scoring on a nightly basis. Not every once in a while, not here and there, every night, every single night. And that's why you're seeing the results, is they're able to just put relentless pressure on people. And let's give it up. Let's give it up too for David Juracek, who getting an opportunity with Zach Bogosian out of the lineup. He has slotted in, and he's just playing solid. Like, he's not trying to do too much. I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle for the younger players, is just trying to do too much, trying to be over their role. And Juracek is playing solid. He's playing responsible, and the results are exactly how they should be. And it's good that he's having some success. He deserves it, considering how the season has gone for him so far. What team actually has a better D-core? I can't name one because there isn't one. There isn't a D-core that has as much depth and as much high ends. I mean, I know the Avs have Cale Makar. I know the Stars have Miro Heiskanen, but you've got Jake Middleton playing third pairing. Third pairing in this defense. You got Hughes and Faber, Brodin, Spurgeon, Middleton, Juracek right now. And you can't really make a compelling case to put Middleton any higher. It's not a knock on him. Good luck beating out those top four. But it gives you depth. And once Bogosian comes back, he will probably come into the lineup. But, I mean, Juracek has made a compelling case to keep going. Do you think it's okay to keep playing Faber over 30 minutes a game consistently, or maybe not work him that hard, or can he handle it? See, this is the other side of the coin as well. Is some of it is the injury situation, some of it is obviously the power play stuff, but players, I think, kind of dictate how much time they get on the ice. And Faber's on an absolute run over the last month plus, where he has been playing some outstanding hockey. And as much as you don't want to see the minute totals continue to tick up, the only way that those minute totals diminish is if his play starts to decline. And it hasn't. So as long as that pairing is continuing to operate at a high level, you keep rolling them. You keep rolling that dice. How about this from Russo? Quinn Hughes versus Connor McDavid tonight. The Wild had a 13-6 shots on goal advantage, a 74.6% expected goals, and 1-0 in actual goals in 5-on-5. That's disgusting in a really good way. And that's what you got to do against the good players. You have to own the time that they're on the ice. And with Hughesy out there, Faber out there, it feels like you put yourself in a good position to do just that. I'm just going to scan to see if there are any comments, quotes from after the game. It does look like Nico Sturm got the hat. Richly deserved. I loved, by the way, that Carson Lambos got the hat after the Columbus game. And you heard what Tarasenko said. He said there are a lot of guys that are worthy of this, but you only get one first NHL game. So I know I was really hard on Tarasenko to start the year. We are walking it back considerably. He's been fantastic. And he has been he's been one of the drivers of that third line. I use the term third line very loosely because all three of these guys All three of these lines, they can push. They can push. Denny's, thank you for mentioning this too, Denny, that Lambos' family was at that Columbus game. I think back to what the Dallas Stars did to Riley Tuft. Remember that? And that was that when Alfred Hitchcock's brother, Ken Hitchcock, was coaching the Dallas Stars? Or no, it was when Rick Bowness, who I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of Rick Bowness, but the Stars were playing the Minnesota Wild at home, and Riley Tuft was supposed to play, and then they made the decision to sit him in front of his family. That's not cool. Come on, guys. This team's motto is everybody eats, and the getting is good right now, folks. The getting for this Minnesota Wild team is very good right now. How about this from Russo? Minnesota Wild's 13th win in their last 17 games against the Oilers. They're 19-3-2 in their last 24 games. 7th straight win. They've outscored their opponents 33-11 in those 7 wins. They have a team record 14-game home point streak at 12-0-2 in that span. 2 goals for Boldy, the game winner for Hartman. Tarasenko and Sturm also score. Filip Gustavsson is 8-1-1 in his last 10 games with 28 saves. And as is also noted, only Matt Boldy and Joel Eriksson Ek played over 20 minutes tonight, with the game coming up tomorrow against the Avs. 100% Gary is right on here too. John Hines, as much as he was chided during the losing streak, coaches got to get credit too for the way that this team has played. And I think that was on full display in the Columbus game. The Wild did not have their best stuff in that game against Columbus. And John Hines had to kind of take exception to that a little bit, but he got the team refocused, and they ended up chipping away, and they won that game. And I think that's because Hines didn't find how they started acceptable, and he corrected it, and the Wild ended up winning that game down the stretch. Those are the kinds of things. In addition to putting the lineup out there, those are the kinds of things that you need your coach to do from time to time. And as much of a run as the Wild have been on, sometimes you just need your coach to kind of lay down the law a little bit. And he did, and they won. And plugging all the right buttons, Danila Yurov becoming kind of that most dependable face-off center, at least in this game. He glued the Spurgeon and Brodin pairing to Connor McDavid, but also wasn't afraid to go Quinn Hughes in there as well. A lot of right buttons being pressed by this franchise right now, which makes it all that much more fun to cover when they're playing like this. And the goaltending, it doesn't matter either guy. The goaltending's been outstanding. What's not to love at this point? Just playing fantastically well, and we get to do it all again tomorrow. I would talk more about the game tomorrow, but we're going to do an episode previewing the Avs game for you tomorrow morning. So we'll rest up, we'll party hardy tonight, and we'll be right back at it for you tomorrow. Minnesota Wild pick up a 5-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers. Avs on tap tomorrow. So make sure to hit that like button before you head out for the day, and join us tomorrow to preview a big afternoon tilt against the Colorado Avalanche. Minnesota Wild are victorious once again, And this has been another Locked On Wild postcast. Your team every day. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll see you on our next episode right here on Locked On Wild.